Eric and I did a 7-night, 8-day backpacking trip in the Grand Canyon from April 27th, 2024 to May 4th. We utilized the Boucher Trail, the Hermit Trail, the Tonto Trail, the Clear Creek Trail, and a little bit of the corridor trails. We did over 80 miles and over 32,000 feet of ascent. I'm doing this video for us, but I'm also doing this video to give other people ideas and information about doing this type of a trip. There were some difficult days, including down climbing on the Boucher Trail, as well as some long water carries that you need to be aware of if you're going to use these trails. In the video, I'll have maps of what we did each day, as well as statistics, including the high and low temperature and how many miles we went. We flew into Phoenix and rented a car and drove up to the Grand Canyon Village. Once you get there, to get to the Hermit Trail trailhead, you can take the red line, which will take you all the way to the trailhead. We started down at the trailhead. After a while on the Hermit Trail, you'll get to the split, and we took the Boucher Trail. Then after a little while longer, you get to the Dripping Springs Trail, and you can take a side trip up to a spring if you wanted to, which we did not do. And then for our first day, we camped at Yuma Point. Driving north, just north of Flagstaff, we ran into snow and were a little worried about the weather, but the weather ended up being great. There was no snow or ice anywhere near the trail. To get to the Boucher Trail, you start at the Hermit Trail trailhead and start down. On the map, on the trail sign, they don't even have the Boucher Trail listed at all. On your way down, if you keep your eye out, you'll see some fossilized track prints in the rocks. And I know there's way more than what we were able to find. Not very far in, you'll get to the split where Hermit Trail keeps going down and Boucher Trail goes off to the left. Hermit Trail is the easier trail with less cliff exposure. Early on the Boucher Trail, you do start to get some cliff exposure. Along the way, if you want to, you can take a little side trip to Dripping Springs or continue on the Boucher Trail. We did not take the side trip. Our first day consisted of a lot of driving to get to the Grand Canyon, so our main goal was to get to Yuma Point and set up camp, which we did that night, which turned out to be a beautiful place to camp. After setting up camp, overnight it got down into the 40s and we got up at Yuma Point and started on the Boucher Trail, heading down to the Colorado River. Shortly after you start, the down climbing starts. most difficult part of the trail. After you make it to White's Butte, that's a good place to stop. A lot of flat places and campsites where you can take a rest and take lunch. And then you have to down climb some more and then take the trail all the way to the Colorado River, or at least that's what we did. If you research doing the Boucher Trail, you'll see a lot of reviews that say it's very, very difficult, and it is. I think if you make it to Yuma Point and you think that was the most you can do, then you should turn around and go back. But if you get to Yuma Point and you're still pretty comfortable, then you should continue on. There isn't any water on the Boucher Trail, so make sure to bring enough. Although if you get lucky, there's some water in some rock pockets at Yuma Point. Yuma Point was a great place to camp with great views and interesting geology. In the morning, we took our time, took in the views, packed up, and headed down. Okay, we came down here, around, back into a little valley, down a wash, and then down this trail. This is going down after White's Butte. I didn't take a lot of video on the down climbing from Yuma Point or after White's Butte because I needed both of my hands. But on the third day, I was able to get some video looking back where you could see the trail better. Once we got down to Boucher Creek, we just followed it all the way down to the Colorado River, set up our camp for the night, and relaxed. Why, hello, bird. For our third day, we just had to get from Boucher Rapids to Granite Rapids. We did about 13.5 miles. Most of the day was spent up on the Tonto Shelf where it got well into the 90s. And then we had to backpack down to Granite Rapids to end our day. To get from the Colorado River back up to the Tonto Shelf, we just followed Boucher Creek up through Topaz Canyon until we connected to the Tonto Trail, and then that's where we spent most of that day. Whether you're going up or down, when you get close to the creek, there's quite a few campsites and some interesting little structures. On the way out, we were able to look back and see where we came down the Boucher Trail after White's Butte. So Boucher Trail starts way up there at White's Bluff, which you can't see. Comes all the way down this wash, cuts across somewhere over here, and zigzags down this slide all the way down to the creek, and then down to the river after that. And as you walk along, there's a lot of very interesting geological features to look at. About 12 miles in, you'll make it to Monument Creek, which for us was dry, and you can just follow that down to Granite Rapids in the Colorado River. Our fourth day, we followed Monument Creek back up to the Tonto Shelf. Had a little navigation snafu and had to double back a little bit. Went past Monument Rock, and then spent most of the day on the Tonto Shelf again, doing about 13.5 miles again. And our day ended on the Corridor Trail at Havasupai Gardens. After you come up Monument Creek Trail, as you're almost out, this is what you have to go up. You can't see it from here, but there's a trail that zigzags all the way up. When we were there, they were working on replacing the water line, which hadn't been replaced since the 1960s. And so some of the trails were closed, including Plateau Point, and there was construction equipment and piping along near the Corridor Trail. Our fifth day was our longest day for miles. We started out at Havasupai Gardens, went down the Bright Angel Trail and over the Silver Bridge. We went through Phantom Ranch and stopped at the canteen. Then started up the Clear Creek Trail, which has about 2 miles of climbing at the start. Stopped a little bit at Phantom Overlook. Back up on the Tonto Shelf, where we spent most of the day, and then at the end of the day climbed down into the Clear Creek Canyon. We ended up doing over 16 miles. Keep in mind, if you do this, the Clear Creek Trail is completely dry, so don't expect there to be any water on it. Morning. Morning. When you come down the Bright Angel Trail, the way you get over the Colorado River is over the Silver Bridge. And once you get up Clear Creek Trail a little ways, you can look back and see Phantom Ranch. So here's Clear Creek Trail after you get up the big climb. Let's see it keep going over there. Over along that wall. Does a little zigzag there. And then goes up over there till you get up on the Tonto Shelf. The Tonto Shelf is a relatively flat and long area of the canyon that's about 1,200 feet above the river and follows parallel to the river. When you walk along the Tonto Shelf, there's actually a lot to see, including lots of lizards and insects along the way. We got down to Clear Creek and there were plenty of campsites to choose from, and there were actually 2 other people down there. Except on the corridor trail at Havasupai Gardens, we had barely seen any people at all. Day 6 was essentially our rest day, and so all we did was hike up Clear Creek without our backpacks, and then just got to a point where we turned around. The largest or the tallest waterfall in the Grand Canyon is up Clear Creek, but we didn't make it all that way. The 2 guys that camped in the same area we did got up early and hiked out, and we were able to watch them hike out of the valley. All throughout our hike, there were agave plants blooming, and they were just teeming with life. As you go up Clear Creek, there's actually several places you could camp other than when you just first come down the Clear Creek Trail. For day 7, we just had to get up and get out of Clear Creek, go back on the Tonto Trail, retrace our steps, and our campsite that night was at Phantom Ranch. So when we got back, the first thing we did was stop at the canteen for some lemonade and then found our campsite. The last part of the hike, getting to Clear Creek Camp, involves a lot of this. This dry, slick clay. Going down it is a bit precarious. Going up it wasn't that hard at all. On our way out, I was able to look back and get some video of what you have to go through to get down into the Clear Creek and Clear Creek Camp. So if you're coming down Clear Creek Trail, you just keep going down the trail, you get to the bend, get over here, you'll zigzag a little bit, and then you can see the trail, you'll start going down. Do a quick switch back again, keep going down, and then go around that bend where you keep going down all the way until you get to the creek bed. And when you see that trail, you're about 0.7 miles till you get to camp. Can we go by? We're just gonna come there. You can stay. It's okay. Oh, don't go that way. Our campsite for night 7, our last night, was at Phantom Ranch, which was one of the corridor trail campsites that we used in addition to Havasupai Gardens. Both of those were very busy and had a lot of people. The rest of this trip we barely saw any people. And here's an example of why you should take care of your gear, take care of your trash, and take care of your food when you're out in the backcountry, even when you're in a campsite like Phantom Ranch. We chased these squirrels away a couple of times, but the people at this campsite were gone for so long that we weren't going to babysit their stuff over and over and over again. So this is an example of what not to do. Our last day was just to get out of the Grand Canyon. So we started at Phantom Ranch campsite and we went up the South Kaibab Trail, which is the steeper trail to get out of the Grand Canyon, but it's also a little bit shorter. There is no water going up the South Kaibab Trail, so if you take this route up, take the water that you need. So we climbed up that to the South Kaibab Trailhead where we saw a few elk, and that ended our trip. When you use the South Kaibab Trail to get over the Colorado River, you go over the Black Bridge and go through a tunnel that's carved through the rock. Once we were through the tunnel, you could look back and see the supports for the Black Bridge, which was pretty interesting. Once we got just a little ways up the South Kaibab Trail, we started seeing lots and lots of people, and as we got near the top, it was just a constant stream of people. We made it out in less than 4.5 hours, even stopping along the way to take pictures. We spent the rest of the day in the Grand Canyon Village and stayed the night there. Drove back to Phoenix the next day, turned in our rental, and flew home.